Tears after Paris, the hidden truth behind Taehyung and Jungkook's silent shock. When Kim Taehyung stepped off the plane from Paris, few could have imagined that his quiet return would ignite one of the most emotional storms the BTS fandom had ever witnessed. What began as a simple airport arrival soon unfolded into a moment heavy with unspoken truth, sorrow, and questions that no one yet dared to answer. For years, Taehyung and Jungkook had stood side by side, symbols of composure, charisma, and unbreakable trust. Yet that morning at Incheon Airport, something felt different. Cameras flashed as always, fans screamed with adoration, but the man who once embodied effortless confidence walked through the crowd as if carrying an invisible weight. His eyes looked dimmer, his movements slower. There was a fragility about him that even the strongest smile couldn't disguise. By the time he reached the exit, whispers had already begun. Something was wrong. Within hours, social media platforms were flooded with concern. Hashtags like hashtag Taehyung cried after Paris and hashtag what happened in Paris dominated global trends. Fans analyzed every frame of his return footage, the lowered gaze, the subtle tremble of his lips, the brief moment when he looked away from the crowd as if fighting tears. At first, no one knew what had caused the sudden shift in his demeanor. Then, quiet reports from those close to the group began to surface. According to insiders, something during Taehyung's stay in France, something unrelated to fashion or his professional commitments, had deeply affected him. Whatever he had discovered there had not only shaken his composure but also touched the very foundation of his trust and belief in the world around him. Jungkook, who had been in contact with Taehyung throughout his trip, was reportedly unaware of the full story. Their messages, once lively and playful, had turned shorter, more restrained. Still, he sensed something wasn't right. And when Taehyung finally returned to Seoul, Jungkook decided to meet him away from cameras, away from the world. What transpired between them during that private conversation remains a mystery, but those close to the situation say Jungkook's reaction was one of stunned silence. Sources describe it as disbelief, the kind that comes when truth collides with trust. Whatever Taehyung shared that night, it left Jungkook visibly shaken. In Paris, Taehyung had attended a series of exclusive events, private gatherings that blurred the line between fashion, art, and influence. Some were high-profile dinners, others quiet meetings behind closed doors with people he had never worked with before. For a while, everything seemed normal, until one particular evening changed everything. After attending an invitation-only event connected to creative executives, Taehyung unexpectedly canceled his appearance the following morning. He wasn't seen in public for almost a full day. Those who spotted him afterwards said he looked different, quieter, thoughtful, almost fragile. The light in his eyes seemed dimmed by something only he understood. Insiders later hinted that what he learned during that meeting had nothing to do with art or fashion. Instead, it was something deeply personal, perhaps about the industry, perhaps about trust. Something that made him question decisions from the past, choices that had shaped not just his career but the very path of BTS itself. When Jungkook heard what Taehyung had discovered, witnesses described him as speechless. His disbelief wasn't anger, it was heartbreak. A quiet kind of devastation that mirrored the sorrow he saw in Taehyung's eyes. The next day, during a short live stream, Jungkook's demeanor was noticeably subdued. Fans expected laughter, casual talk, perhaps a song, but what they found instead was silence. He avoided his usual playfulness, his words soft and measured. And when someone asked how Taehyung was doing, Jungkook paused for a long moment before answering quietly, "He's going through something important." That simple statement broke the internet. It was enough to confirm what fans already felt, something profound had happened. Behind the scenes, whispers grew louder. Reports began circulating that Taehyung's Paris trip might not have been entirely about brand partnerships. He had apparently met with creative figures discussing autonomy, identity, and artistic ownership, topics long regarded as delicate in the entertainment world. Some believe he had stumbled upon truths about decisions made years ago, truths that changed how he viewed certain parts of his journey. The realization, according to one close source, hit him harder than anyone expected. After returning home, Taehyung disappeared from social media. No updates, no selfies, no posts, just silence. Fans grew increasingly anxious, sending thousands of messages filled with love and worry. Jungkook, meanwhile, began showing subtle signs of emotional exhaustion. His schedule continued, but his energy wasn't the same. He appeared distant, thoughtful, as if his mind was somewhere else entirely. Then, one late evening, Taehyung was seen leaving a private meeting with his creative partners. His expression said everything words could not. His eyes were red, his voice barely audible. When asked by a reporter if he was okay, he simply nodded and whispered, "Some truths are heavier than we think." That single sentence reignited global speculation. Every fanbase, every media outlet began to search for meaning behind it. Was it about friendship? The industry? Or something even more personal? For Jungkook, this period was equally heavy. Known for his discipline and calm nature, he began to appear visibly conflicted. Insiders revealed he had been spending long hours in reflection, often alone, trying to process what he had learned from Taehyung. The two hadn't drifted apart, but their silence spoke volumes, a mutual understanding of something that couldn't yet be spoken aloud. Their connection, once vibrant and open, now carried an air of quiet sadness. Each appeared to be protecting the other, shielding the truth rather than exposing it. Industry analysts soon began piecing together possible explanations. Some suggested that Taehyung had uncovered information about creative rights or past management decisions that had shaped BTS's artistic direction. Others believed it was more personal, a truth that blurred the line between career and identity. Whatever it was, it had left both men visibly changed. The kind of change that doesn't come from conflict but from revelation, when the world you thought you knew suddenly shifts beneath your feet. Witnesses who saw them together after that meeting described the air between them as heavy but compassionate. There was no anger, only understanding. Jungkook was said to have told a close confidant, "I didn't know how deep it went." His words reflected not only shock but helplessness, the feeling of wanting to protect someone who's been hurt by something you can't control. As days turned into weeks, the silence continued. Taehyung's rare appearances revealed more through expression than language, quiet smiles, distant gazes, the lingering softness of someone still processing pain. Jungkook, though always supportive, seemed lost in his own storm of thought. Both were navigating a truth that fans could sense but not see. And so, the world waits, not for scandal, but for understanding. Because beyond the glamour, beyond the headlines, lies something deeply human.